Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. It's Wednesday. It's Whiskey Wednesday, and we are on episode 179. This is 179.1. This is going to be the review of, we were fortunate to receive a sample, 100 milliliters, so it's just enough to sample, and we were very, very gracious and thankful to the people at Barrell Craft Spirits and Barrell Bourbon, and also Aaron, who hooks us up with this great company. This is batch 029. So we've had a previous podcast with Barrell Bourbon before, but this is the latest release. So thank you, Aaron, and everyone else at Barrell Bourbon. We appreciate that very, very much. And we're also going to be reviewing the EP Carillo Capa de Sol. So we'll talk about that as well. Before we jump right in, I want to thank all of our members of patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast. This is fantastic. You guys are a big support. I've got a conference call with the t-shirt people that we were hooked up with through Bourbon and Blondes, their contacts, so out of St. Louis, but looking forward to getting that online for you and having some options for you. I still want to, and I'll put it on there, a poll for what color shirts you guys want for the first round. Looking forward to that, but go on patreon.com/bourbonandbs podcast. If you are so inclined to support us, there's a $5 tier, a $10 tier, a $25 tier, or you can just contribute whatever you'd like, and then obviously just not auto renew that or back out of that after you've done that. We greatly appreciate that very much. You guys are amazing. Also share, like, and review not only the Facebook Live, the YouTube Live, but also the audio. Get it out there. Get more people involved. If you guys are available Wednesday evenings around 7:30, 7:45 Eastern Standard Time, that's when we go live. Facebook Live is our biggest audience. So if you guys want to join the conversation on part 1 or part 2, we greatly love to have you guys on there. And then also Tinder Box at Easton. They supplied the Columbus, Ohio Tinder Box at Easton, supplied the EP Carillo Capa de Sol. So check that one out for sure. And thank you, Brian, and everyone at the Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. Also, Altadis USA. We've got a Reserva Real Robusto as the second featured cigar, the second cigar of the night. Thank you, Josh Bentley, and everyone at Altadis USA for the support there. You guys are amazing. You've been a sponsor for quite some time, so we greatly appreciate all that. And then also Cigar Company. We've got the silvers available at Tinder Box at Easton, our sponsor in Columbus, Ohio, or you can check them out on social media and all that good stuff to contact them and get some of those in. The golds, which is the original, which is all Plasencia, Nicaraguan tobacco. They'll be available, hopefully, I'd say probably in the next couple of weeks. So looking forward to having those back in stock, as I know a lot of you are as well. And then, again, the silvers are available. That's going to be Eric Espinosa and La Zona. So thank you very much, Eric, for a great blend there. Happy to work with you guys there on that. So without further ado, let's get right into this. Like I said, we got 100 milliliters. So this is something where we don't have a lot, so we poured a little bit. We've got a little bit left to come back to. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to sample this, and then we take a pour out of one of our local favorites.
Yeah,
the Watershed 4-year blended bourbon that we've had.
No, this is the bottled and bond.
Oh, this is the bottled and bond. I'm sorry, I didn't look at that bottle right. So
yeah, I got the bottled and bond.
4-year bottled and bond. Featured that with Ann Dimmick, who was on with Watershed not too long ago. This is a new product from them, bottled and bond. Great product, so we're going to do that as well. But I am really excited to try this Barrell Bourbon.
Yeah, when you told me that the bottle we had was only another one of the 100 ml samples, I was like, we need a second bottle.
Right.
So I was at the store, and the last call store had a bottle of the Hudson Maple Cask bourbon. Okay. It was $27.99. So initially I grabbed that. And then I was like, let me look at the liquor department, see what else they got. And I saw that, and I was like, yeah, I'd rather drink that. I know that's really good.
Right. Absolutely.
So I passed on a cheap bottle to get a more expensive bottle. Kind of goes against my reputation, huh?
Things are changing in the world these days. I tell you what, it's a whole new world. But we had Trip Simpson on before. This was, last year?
It was last year, yep.
Last year, and he is the chief of distillery operations, and as they call it on the website, chief whiskey scientist, and he has a great background in biochemistry and molecular biology. We talked to him. Have to look back at what episode that was, but it was great talking to him. We had him on remotely, so we were greatly appreciative to have him on. This is, like I said, batch 029. This is the newest one. I want to kind of go over. These guys are based out of Louisville, And I just want to kind of go over this. This is a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys, distilled and aged in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. So they have that on there. So, and it's also cask strength. So 115.88, very specific.
Mhm.
And this is what's cool about these guys. If you guys haven't tried them out, I know they're not available. I don't think in Ohio yet, are they? I have to verify that. Look that up. But
don't believe so.
This is something that definitely check it out. If you guys are out of state, if you're traveling to Kentucky or whatever, or anywhere else, definitely do that. I want to kind of go over this, and then I'm going to share it while you sample it and kind of go over some of your notes. But I want to share it to some of my groups here. But I want to get this information out there first. This is a selection of, and get this, 6, 7, 9, 10, 15, and 16-year-old barrels. All right, so you go ahead. You talk a bit about that real quick, Nate. I've got Nate Hale with me. I got Sean Wilkinson also behind the producer mic tonight. So happy to have Sean here in the garage as well, and all of you guys as well, obviously. So what do you think?
That's definitely got some heat on the back end of it, but right up front, it's got this nice fruit note to it that, you know, you put me on the spotlight a little too soon. I couldn't really place what that note was.
Sorry, what's going on with you then? What do you want to talk about?
No, we're good. We're good.
I'm just.
I mean, we featured several of their products. This is the second batch of the bourbon that we've done.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of complexity to it. It being barrel proof, I mean, it's very, very oily, especially in a Glencairn glass.
And we are both drinking out of the Glencairn tonight. Since we have such a small amount, we want to get the most out of this.
Yeah. I would not recommend, even with your, you know, we talked about this after we came back from Louisville when we did one of the tours. They said when you go to smell a whiskey, have your mouth open, because if it's closed, you're just going to get burn and alcohol.
Just slightly open. I mean, you don't want to go full, let the bugs in.
Yeah. Even doing that with this, there's a lot of burn on the nose. There's a lot of heat on the nose of this whiskey. Not every high proof spirit that we've had does that. Mm-hmm. This one definitely does, but with them using all those different ages, you know, there's definitely some complexity to this. And I kind of wish we knew what the percentages of each of those years are.
Yeah, I'll go into this a little bit more because I do have the sell sheet from Aaron. I mean, I love working with these guys because they definitely are very, very professional on when they send these things out. So I appreciate getting all that information. But like I said, right now you're sampling that, and I'll get into this. But I'm trying to get this out to some of the groups to get some more conversation going here. I encourage you guys to do the same.
Actually, now that I've actually had a couple sips of it, that heat on the finish is much, much less. Mm-hmm. It's much more tame. So that first sip, it's gonna hit you, and you just
you'd expect on a almost 116, right? I mean, that's what you would expect at this point.
Yeah, you should.
If not, you might want to see a doctor.
And I know when we had the first time we had Barrel Craft on, we sampled 3 of their bottles, and the bourbon was actually the lowest proof one. But we said that the other 2 were actually smoother than the bourbon. So
yeah,
sometimes higher proofs can be smoother, a little richer in flavor. Sometimes they can be hotter. You just don't know until you sip it. But no, after getting through the first couple sips, now that heat on the finish is calmed down, you can taste a lot more of the complexity, the sweetness, the fruit notes that are in it. So like right off the rip, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can taste a whole lot. Now I can actually taste more as we go on.
Yeah. Sean's got a question there.
Got a quick question. I remember one of the guests you had was a woman who she does the bourbon tours. Like she does it for.
You used to do the rolling barrel tours.
Yeah. And she was telling how to do like a taste is to like kind of swish it in your mouth, hold it in the back of your mouth, let it sit there, and you can feel it. Now, when you guys taste those, do you ever try doing that, or is that something?
So when we did the tours, they told us that on your first sip, like go ahead and swish it around because that's going to numb all the pain receptors in your mouth. Okay. So that way, then when you take the next sip, like then all you're doing is tasting it.
Okay.
There's much less heat, much less burn because you've already numbed those pain receptors.
Okay, that makes sense because I tried that, and ever since I've done it every once in a while, and you definitely taste a lot. You get a lot more flavor
after that first one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to ask that question.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of times, I mean, we've talked about that also as a with whiskey, or even like when you light up a cigar for the first time, you know, sometimes they have like a little bit of like more of like a pepper bomb, or they might have like a little bit, and then it changes. There's other reasons for that, but it's also your palate's getting used to it, right? So I mean, you kind of have that shock. Like right now, I've got some burn right in the middle of my tongue from the first sip there, but I also am getting a lot of those. You said fruit,
Yeah,
a little bit of fruit,
and there's a bright note to it as well.
yeah. It's very bright, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then as it sits on the sides and everything like that, I'm kind of getting that oaky and the like, not quite caramel, but something like that. So this is, again, bottled in Kentucky. The base of this, it says, is, they say, herbal and viscous blend of Indiana bourbons. The blend was expanded with 6- and 7-year-old rye grain Kentucky bourbon, chosen for its exotic cinnamon spice note and floral 9- and 10-year-old wheated bourbon. Finally, a small amount of 6-, 14-, and 16-year-old Tennessee bourbon was added for a fruity nose and long finish. So you're not wrong in a lot of that stuff there. Like what you were saying there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like unmistakably cask strength. Obviously, the first one you're going to get that. It's very, very rich. I don't get, you know, they're saying, you know, like the wheated bourbons, but it's not like what I would think of that. But it does make sense that, you know, the first thing they list is obviously that rye grain. I think that's definitely apparent there.
Yeah, the rye bringing out some of that cinnamon and the floral notes to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's what do you get out of it? What do you think?
A little bit of the same. It is like it's fruity, but it's not. And see, now
it's not like wine fruity, like the dark fruits, like plums and stuff like that.
No. It's very actually pleasant. I get a little of the fruit. I don't know. I'm trying to place it. I don't know if it's really apple or anything, but it's definitely a lighter, very much lighter fruit. Not citrus. It's not like in your face like that, but it's going to be a nice flavor there. And again, it's balanced out, I think, with a little bit of that food flavor of, like I said, it's not caramel, not butterscotch. It's somewhere around that, though.
Gotcha.
I don't know if you're getting that at all.
Not anymore.
Not well. Yeah, well, that was quick. That's right. Take your time.
Well, I kept having to sip it to try and get notes out of it.
You have to.
Yeah.
So they say basically on here, and like I said, I like this. What they say is, so initial burst of fruit. So we're on there.
Mm-hmm.
Williams pear and dried papaya on the nose, lime cordial on the palate, then a lengthy evolution through rye-driven mulling spices and richy oak lactones. Ultimately, the profile settles comfortably into an array of dessert notes, including some kind of tart I don't know how to say because I don't eat many desserts, milk chocolate, and bowl Madeira. Boal. Again, not a dessert guy that much. I enjoy it. I just don't expand out there.
Yeah, we know.
But it's definitely kind of, I mean, we weren't that far off. So, yeah. I think it's good, though. I mean, so far we've had several on here, even when Trip was on here, have not been disappointed. Love the Dovetail product that they have.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
We had the New Year's that they sent us last year. I think, Sean, remember we cracked that on New Year's. Remember that?
Yes.
When we were in here smoking, and it's like everything kind of fizzled like at the end of the night. You know what I mean? We were just hanging out end of the night, and I was like, they sent this bottle that we're going to review. Yeah. So, yeah, that was so super great organization. Love that. And again, this is something that if you guys can find it, I don't know what the MSRP is. I don't think it says on here.
If I remember correctly, the regular bourbons typically come in at like that $80, $90 price point.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So they're not cheap at all.
Oh, SRP right here, $90. Absolutely. You're spot on.
Nailed it.
Spot on.
But no, it is not. None of the barrel craft spirits are available in Ohio.
Yeah. Ray's saying, there you go. You were close with your apple. Pear is quite similar to apple. All right.
Yeah. Now, it is
We're getting it.
interesting. Like last year, I think a week or two before we first did Barrel Craft with Trip, we had the Chicken Cock with Greg Snyder.
Mhm.
And at the time, Chicken Cock whiskey or rye was not available in Ohio, and it is now. So this, who knows? In the future, maybe they're trying to get into the Ohio market.
Well,
It's a tough nut to crack.
It is, but more and more we're seeing, which is nice.
Yeah.
So along with this, we're smoking the EP Carillo Capa de Sol. This is one that came out, I want to say, let me see, 2016. So it's been out for a while. This is something that, so Ernesto Perez Carrillo was the founder of La Gloria Cubana.
Mm-hmm.
And he sold that off to General Cigars, or General Cigars. And so since that even has been actually pushed now to Forged.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The Gloria Cubana is part of Forged, which is they basically
subset of General.
Yeah, they took the General portfolio. It was too big. Now they're trying to be able to focus on both some of the big boy names, if you will.
Steve said focus.
And also they're trying to give the attention. Is that better? Give the attention to some of the smaller and companies that need a little bit, or names that need a little bit more attention. So this is one that, so getting away from that was a side note. This is Ernesto came back years later after he sold off. He's still a huge player in the game. He's had some great,
That's an understatement.
How would you say it?
Well, no, the reason I say it's an understatement.
Huge player.
Is in the last 3 years, he's had 2 of the number 1 cigars of the year by Cigar Aficionado. And right before that, he had one that was number 2.
That's right.
So
yeah, that's right.
That's a good resume right there.
He has been, yes, highly praised with some of his releases. This is one, I don't know what numbers this has gotten. This is not one of the ones that was, on the top. I mean, we had recently the Pledge. That was all part of this series. So you had the La Historia. That got a number 2 at one point. The Encore, I think 2018 was the number 1 in Aficionado. And then this last year, 2020, everything was smooth and easy in 2020. So it was great to see the cigar. The Pledge got the number 1 in Aficionado. And again, it's highly rated. That whole series, it was that. The La Historia was number 1 in that. And then you had Encore as a follow-up, obviously Encore, and then the Pledge was the 3rd one so far.
Have you smoked the Pledge yet?
I have not.
I did smoke one. There was another shop in town that I happened to visit, and they had some. I was like, you know what? Number 1 cigar of the year. Let's see if it's worth it. So
Okay.
I smoked one. It was a good smoke.
We're going to try to get that on to review it as well. So this one, though, basically you're looking at the name, obviously, wrapper of the sun. So you're looking at a sun-grown wrapper. That's kind of the name behind it, Capa del Sol. And this is going to be a Ecuadorian sun-grown wrapper. So Ecuadorian, let me see if I can find the notes exactly what it is. But yeah, it just says Ecuadorian sun-grown. I assume it's going to be a Habano. It kind of looks like that. What do you think?
I wasn't thinking Habano. I was thinking more like a Corojo.
Ecuadorian Corojo.
No, not Corojo.
Sumatra?
No.
No. Get there.
Shit, what's the Camacho yellow label?
Criollo.
There we go. I was thinking maybe that.
Could be. So it's Nicaraguan binder and filler along with that. So it's definitely a darker wrapper. So it's not Maduro shade by any means, but it's going to be it's between Colorado and Maduro, don't you think?
Yeah. Is he based in Nicaragua?
No, he is
Dominican.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's Dominican, and then this cigar is all Nicaraguan tobacco, and then Ecuadorian wrapper.
Yep.
Do we know? We probably don't know where he's getting the Nicaraguan from, or who?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. No, I don't think. And again, I hope anyone out there that's maybe into Ernesto's history. I don't know if he buys all his tobacco or if he grows it, but I'm pretty sure he basically blends mainly.
Yeah.
And so EP Carillo is also blending with other people, other companies. I know more recently he's worked with the sons, Alec and Bradley from Alec Bradley.
Yep.
Alec and Bradley Rubin. So he's been working with them.
I think he also does a couple blends for Crowned Heads.
Trying
to remember exactly what it was.
It's got a little bit of little pepper on the retrohale, a little spice on the palate. Sean, you agree? Yeah, Sean's smoking it as well, so feel free to chime in anytime as well. Medium, medium strength, a lot of flavor. For me, it's a spicier cigar.
Really? I get a little bit of spice.
Not like spicy, like in your face spicy. I'm saying it's got a nice spice to it as I'm smoking it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's very.
I think it's a softer type of spice. Like it's not punching me in the mouth or the nose on the retrohale.
It's subtle.
Yeah.
At first, you're like, I first take a hit, you don't really feel the spice until you're like retro, and then it's like in your mouth. But at first, you're like, oh, it's not too bad. Like, oh, there it is. But it's kind of subtle. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's got a nice.
I think it's got a clean finish on it too. Like I don't think the flavor really lingers around in your palate.
You think it's got a clean finish?
Yeah.
See, I got a spice lingering, which I like actually. I'm not complaining about it. I think it's very, very flavorful. It's a. Sounds really stupid. Some of my terms are dumb here, but I mean it's like an act, like it's very active. It's as I'm smoking this, it's got that spicy, peppery kind of just lingering on, like I'm eating a spicy dish for me.
Okay.
Which I did not eat spicy food before you guys asked. I did not.
Okay. I didn't ask.
So I answered before you asked.
So it's funny. Within the last week or so, it popped up on my Facebook memories. It was 3 years ago that I started working at the Tinder Box. This was the first cigar I smoked as an employee.
Really?
It was this cigar. So I was back in 2018.
Yeah.
This was the first cigar I smoked at the Tinder Box as a staff member.
So I'm not going to say who this review is from, but I do appreciate the straightforwardness of the one. I was like looking up some of the information on, the cigar. And then as I'm talking, this does not go along with, they have pepper in the review, but it says early on, so you get notes of wood, natural tobacco, and some black pepper. And I can appreciate, the fact you're saying natural tobacco on there as a review. And I do like this person's reviews a lot of times because it's not over the top with all the different crazy notes that I'm just like, I don't even know what that would taste like, but it definitely, he says black pepper. And I agree with that. That natural tobacco, it's just a very classic cigar here. I don't think you're getting a whole lot of any of those like baking spices or like food flavors that you get from that. That's why I don't think it's like a Habano wrapper. I wish I knew what this was. I think. Let's see if I can find some more here.
Well, that's what I'm
So
trying.
the construction's good. Again, it's a bit of a rougher wrapper leaf. I've got some veins here. It's going to be. Not the prettiest wrapper leaf. I don't know about you.
I mean, yeah, mine's got a vein on the outside, but I mean, other than that, I mean, the wrapper looks fine.
Looks fine.
Getting a little bit of a run on the bottom of it, and I can kind of feel it when I hold the cigar. That's why, like, on the top here, like it's a lot thicker, holding a very tight cherry, but then it's kind of run a little bit. It's a little looser. And that's just from, it can be from a cigar just settling in a box or on the shelf. Doesn't necessarily mean it came out of the factory rolled that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just settle and they'll, smoke a little funky.
Yeah. The marketing on this, it's very classic. You got a gold and red band. You got a little bit of orange on there as well. A little bit of kind of like a look of like a sunset, which I do appreciate. If you look at it's part of the Elite series. So they say EP Carillo Elite. And then you have Capa de Sol. And in between Elite and Capa de Sol, I like this because I assume it's intentional where you kind of see the farm, right? So if you look, Sean, if you're looking at the logo and you roll it to your right, so you're looking to the left of the logo there, you notice they've got, it looks like either a house or a barn. It's tough to see in the light that I've got here, but I assume a barn. And looks like some mountains behind it. And then that's got to be a tobacco field, I'd imagine. You roll over the other side, more fields, and it just kind of rolls into the mountains there. And it kind of looks like that orange sunrise or sunset, which is very subtle in the marketing, but I can appreciate that with it being the sun, right? You know, the soul being on there, you know, and
by the way, Steve, you were right. Ecuadorian Habano.
boom.
There you go.
Feels good sometimes. Doesn't happen often, but it feels good when it does.
Good for you. I was saying Carillo just to disagree and come up with something different.
Sounds right. Sounds right. But yeah, this is it's a nice cigar. It's starting to, for me, and maybe it's because I'm smoking it more and talking, but that spice now, I'm about not quite halfway through this. It's getting a little bit either tongue bite or bitterness. I don't know if you're getting that at all.
A little bit of bite. A little bit of bite.
A little bit of bite. It was not there. It was more spice in the beginning. So now it's turning a little bit of bite. You've got Watershed Bottled and Bond right in your glass right now.
I do. Which after drinking the Barrel Craft and then going to the Watershed Bottled and Bond, that first sip was amazing.
The Watershed.
Yeah.
All right. Stay focused on what we're reviewing.
Because the Barrel Craft just kind of set your palate up for that, being that higher proof. This one description that I looked up, which said it was a Habano wrapper, they actually list this as a full body cigar.
You know, and we're not through it, so I mean, I don't know for sure. I mean, I haven't smoked this blend in quite some time. I wouldn't say it's full right out of the gate, so maybe it'll build in strength. But I mean, again, in flavor, it definitely has a lot of flavor. It smokes like at least a medium, in my opinion. But I mean, I guess some people could look at this as a stronger cigar, not knowing how much, you know, Ligero and Seiko's in there. But I mean, I think it's definitely got some punch to it. And maybe that's where it might build here as we're doing. And again, keep in mind, you're drinking right now 100 proof. I'm still sipping on my first little pour of the 115.88 proof. So that could affect it a little bit. But I mean, as far as strength goes, it maybe that's a little bit of that bitterness that's coming out. Maybe there is some, you know, decent amount of Ligero in here.
It could be.
And that could be where I'm getting some of that.
It is building a little bit. The spice on the retrohale, like the first inch or so, like I said, I wasn't getting a whole lot of spice on the palate or on the retrohale. I am starting to get more spice on the retrohale, and that bite, it's right now it's kind of lingering a little bit at the front of my tongue.
Yeah.
Almost like a dryness.
Going back to the whiskey, the original Barrel Craft 029, going back to the cigar, that bitterness has gone away. It's got a little bit of this original notes to it. I'll get a little bit more of that spice, a little bit more of the pepper. Definitely. Yeah, Sean Anderson is in the audience, and he's saying the things I've seen say it's medium full. Can't make up its mind, I guess. No, I mean, that's part of it. When we say that stuff, when it's mild, medium, or full, you can have a lighter side of medium, a medium plus, I use that term. Medium to full would be kind of that 75%. Full is going to be 100, or towards that, you know, tipping point towards the 100%, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like all cigars, it's either mild, medium, or full. There's a large gradient in between all of those. Because you got to figure as many different cigars are out there, they're not going to fit into just 3 categories.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you're going to try to pigeonhole them somewhere. But I mean, again, that's where you kind of say mild to medium, medium to full, or obviously somewhere around those.
What's
it's getting hot too a little bit.
Okay.
To the touch right there. Use yours.
Where? How far?
Feel that right there.
At the band?
Feel right there.
It is.
It's hot.
It is.
And maybe that's why it's getting a little bitter, is because maybe I am smoking it a little bit faster than I normally would. Yours is hot as well?
Well, he's
right
a
at
lot,
that band.
He's a lot further. I mean, he's at the band.
He's at the band. But still, give me my cigar back.
I kind of had that recently when I smoked a cigar over the weekend that had a tunnel in it.
Yeah.
But yours doesn't look like it has a tunnel. It's not smoking like it has a tunnel, because a lot of times that's, you know, other than looking at, you know, right down the middle of the cigar and seeing a tunnel, that's one of the ways I can figure out that it has one, is if I get a lot of heat, like an inch or two up on the cigar from where the ash is, typically that means something's burning inside of there.
Well, Nate, everything's burning inside of there. It's a cigar, for Christ's
just
sake.
on the end. Just burning the end.
Yeah. I will say this tip to everyone out there. If you seem to be having it heat up a little bit, and Sean, because the construction, I think on this, at least on the cigar I'm smoking, it is very nice. The burn line's not the greatest, but that, again, we're sitting out, we got fans going because it is still whatever degrees here in Columbus, 85 degrees at 8 o'clock in the evening. But if you slow down your draw a little bit, because it's pretty, I don't want to say it's an airy draw, but it's effortless.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? So when you're taking that, purposely just slow down your draw. Don't pull as hard, and it might try to cool that smoke down in your mouth a little bit. Just take it easy a little bit. Mm-hmm. You can let it sit a little bit.
Yeah, I thought I was smoking mine a little fast, so I was like, maybe that's why I'm getting a little bit of heat. So I kind of backed off a little bit.
A lot of smoke comes from it, though. Again,
Yeah.
I like that part of the construction. You get a lot of smoke from the cigar. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think it's a great cigar. Again,
Do you think this one kind of gets overlooked based on the success of the rest of his portfolio?
That's a good question. I don't know. I sometimes you never know what they submit either. So everyone doesn't realize, I don't think, that cigars have to be submitted.
Yes.
So for any publication to review them, most publications to review them, you have to submit it. And I don't know if, everyone's submit, like if Ernesto says, here's everything, and they just smoke everything he's got. I don't know if it works like that, but I don't believe it does. That would be an interesting thing if we ever did get, I'd love to get like Cigar Snob on here, at some point. You guys need to keep sharing and liking this and getting the numbers, pump those rookie numbers up, as Matthew McConaughey says in Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
But get them on here just to talk to them. And I'll reach out and see if I can get them on here, at least for the first part, is we can talk about cigar reviews. Do they have to be submitted to them? I know when we first did the BS cigars, I asked them about it, and they have to be in, I think, at least 100 accounts to be reviewed
nationwide
in the US to be reviewed, and that makes sense, right? I mean, because if you read a magazine, you're like, oh, this BS cigar got a 92, probably get higher than that, but
it should.
No, it gets 92, and then they start they're like, oh, and they start asking around, like, well, I can't even get this cigar. You know what I mean? They're not going to do it just because it's a shop local.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense. If they're going to spend the time to review and rate and publish their review of a cigar, like the people reading that are paying for that, they or maybe paying for it, they want to be able to smoke it. They want to be able to experience it as well.
Yeah.
So that only makes sense.
Right.
But then it also makes me think, like, when you said, does it actually have to be submitted? Like every single year we see like Padron anniversaries, 1926 series. We always see those on top 25s. And it's like, are they just submitting a different size like every single year? Are they submitting like their whole portfolio? Or do those companies just sit there and go, you know what, we're just going to throw in Padron because it's a great cigar and it belongs in the top 25 every single year?
No, so in my mind, and again, we can't go too far down this because we don't know exactly what it is, but I would say, like Padron, for example, you've got the Padron series Natural Maduro. That's, besides sizes, 2 blends.
Yep.
You have the 1964 Natural Maduro, 2 more. 1926 Natural Maduro, 2 more. So now you got 6 blends only. And then you have the, if you will, the one-offs, which
the 50,
to my
the
recollection,
40.
I haven't seen many of those, like in Aficionado or others, is that you never really see those, the number 45 or the number 40. So maybe they're not submitting them. Maybe they don't think they're as good as some of the other ones, but I would say that is something that you do see Padron in there, and it's usually different sizes of either the 64 or 26.
I think the 50th anniversary Little Hammer was a number 1 cigar of the year at one point.
Could have been.
So
could have been.
Maybe they just sit there and like, all right, we'll let you do, we'll let you submit 1 cigar this year. So that way, we don't lock up our entire 25 with just your portfolio.
Well, they always do certain sizes too.
Yeah.
Which I'll say again, now that we're on this subject, is it's always funny that when a cigar, like for example, the EPC, since we're talking about Ernesto here, the Pledge guy, I forget which one it is because I haven't smoked it yet, but I know the Encore, it was the Majestic, which was the Robusto.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get people who come in the shop or any shop and retail and everything else, and they're looking for that blend. And they say, do you have the Encore? You're like, yeah, we do, but we don't have it in the Majestic. We have it in like a Toro and a Torpedo. And like, no, I'm good. And it always boggles my mind why you don't want to just try the blend. You know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know if you're collecting it or you're smoking it, but I mean, it will smoke a little different based on the Vitola, but I mean, you have to at least try it. Don't walk out of a shop empty-handed if you can't find that exact one.
Yeah.
Oliva V Milano was the biggest one when the Figurado got it. And it's like, well, we don't have the Figurado, but we have the Torpedo. which was like a #1 in Cigar Snob a couple years ago. Now I'm looking for the Figurado. All right.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it too much at my time at Tinder Box. I used to see it a lot more the first shop I worked at, but when those top 25s would get published, I would literally get people coming into the store with the magazine, or they would tear it out and they would literally just come in and go, "How many of these do you have?" I want one of all of them.
And I mean, I think it's not a bad way to go about trying new stuff. I don't think it is a bad way to do it. I mean, you know, Avi out here, I feel that the Cigar Aficionado has a few favored brands, which fluctuates based on the advertising volume to him. And there is rumor about that stuff. And I mean, I get that. I mean, it's not that you pay to get the #1 spot or the top 10, but I mean, yeah, if it's a business, you know, I mean, as much as we think it should be completely objective, there's going to be some subjective behavior there as far as that goes. Because why would a magazine review your cigar if you don't even get along? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
why would I do that?
Yeah, like if you're one of those companies that doesn't advertise whatsoever in them, like they're gonna sit there and go, "Why should we spend any of our time giving you high remarks when you?"
Here, I'll top that off on mine. I'll finish that.
You know, why should we spend the time to talk about your stuff when you don't even, support us? Like,
Yeah,
it's a two-way street.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a review in a cigar magazine. This is not a medical journal. Okay, we're not doing studies here.
Yeah.
All right.
And the other thing is, it's that particular reviewer's opinion on the cigar.
That's right.
So what they taste may not, may be different than what you taste, And have you ever had someone come in, buy a cigar that got the #1 spot, smoke it, and like, I really don't like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen #1 in multiple publications, top 5, whatever, and I'm like, Jesus, we have very different palates.
Yeah. I remember there was one, I was like, wait, that cigar is in the top 10? Like, but then this other cigar was like number 22 or whatever. I'm like, flip those.
Oh, yeah.
That's how, that's why last year, like I had made a post at the end of the year last year, or back in January this year. It's like, here's my top 5 that they came out in 2020, but also we had them at the shop.
Yeah.
Because I specifically wanted to highlight in that particular social media post new blends, new cigars that came out.
Right.
Instead of, Padron always being in there, like, what are some of the new ones? How are some of these newer cigars? And last year you and I both, there were a couple that you and I reviewed very, very highly. One was the 1935 from Monte Cristo, and the other was the Perdomo Maduro.
Yeah, the Perdomo
10th anniversary. Yeah. And those were new cigars, and that's kind of what I wanted to highlight is, yes, the classics, the staple brands that have, the blends that have been around for years, like, yes, those are great smokes, but guess what? There's some new smokes that are really darn good too.
Again, you have to classify that, because if you're doing just like what came out this year, you can't stack those up against ones that didn't. So
yeah,
it's how expansive you want. And again, what do you have your hands on? Did you smoke something like a Roma Craft or something newer that you didn't have your hands on? So again, there's always factors in there. Sean Anderson says, I know Cigar Aficionado won't review cigars that have a too odd or distinct
Not
shape.
true.
I was gonna ask him if he could expand on that before Nate just completely says no. Why do you say no while he has a chance to respond on the feed?
The LFD Andalusian Bull. It's the only cigar in the industry that's made in that shape. Lido bought those molds from some Scandinavian country, and
Spain.
And was it Spain?
Because the bull, yeah.
Okay, I thought he just called it because that's where he was from.
Pretty sure it was Spain.
Okay, but he bought those molds, and that cigar comes in one size, and there's no other cigar on the market that comes in that Vitola, that shape. Correct. And it was a #1 cigar of the year.
So that's why I'm asking. That is a good example of it. Sean, if you're out there still, let us know what you're thinking on that.
You also have the Fuente Shark, the Añejo Shark. It looks like
the eye of the shark that got the number one.
Yes. That shark, though, is kind of that rounded. It's more of a vertical box press instead of a horizontal box press.
So if you guys aren't familiar with the shark, it's number 77 of the Añejo. Only certain rolls will do it for Fuente, but it's a box press from the foot. And then as it gets to the torpedo head, it rounds out and it ends up at the head with a round shape. It's very unique. That is something that they did with the eye of the shark, which was based off the Don Carlos blend, Cameroon wrapper and Dominican, I believe. That's going to be one that got a number one recently. So Sean says it's what the guy that worked there said, because they buy them retail and remove bands and replace it with a number. So anything that's easy to identify, they won't put it in the blind taste test. That might be dated. I don't know, Sean, when you heard that, but that would be obvious. In this case, with the Andalusian Bull, I know recently the Flathead 660 got number 2 or 3 a few years back. So there's some, I think anymore it's
well, if you
could be, but if you've got something out there like the shark, I mean, if you work at Cigar Aficionado and you're one of the raters, if you don't realize that's a Fuente number 77 mold, you need a new job.
Well, if you hand me a cigar that's got
it's been some years ago, so that makes sense that at some point they might have done, hey, send in Robustos, Toros, and that, and
yeah, if you take a band off a cigar and hand it to me and it's got a chisel head on it, I know exactly who makes that cigar.
Correct. Yeah.
Because they have a patent on it. So
yeah. Exactly. So I've got a little bit more of the Barrell. He said maybe 15 or better. So maybe it's 15 years ago. So again, that is it's dated. So I mean, but it's a good point. Obviously you want it to be something where they may not be able to identify it and be more biased on that, but yeah, and with Cigar Aficionado, with everything else, with like Half Wheel, Cigar, like so many online publications and the actual published in print publications and the advertising, if you are in the cigar industry, especially in a review job, I would think you're smoking nonstop and you're staying up to date on all the info in the industry. So it's hard to not do that. I mean, you're going to. I mean, we play that game even at Tinder Box at Easton, is that sometimes we'll do that and it's like, hey, don't look. I'm going to go grab your cigar, take the band off. Let me see if you can, tell me what you think it is. But not being blindfolded, you're going to see it. You're going to look at the wrapper. You're going to look at, the construction of it. You're going to look at the shape, the vitola. You're going to look at everything about it. And then as you light it up, you're going to have these things. So, and that's just based off of about 500 different options. So if you're getting this, I don't know. I know they review a lot, but and they review a lot on a monthly basis on a lot of these publications. They also do a lot. I don't know what the number is overall, but for the annual top 20, they review it again because, for example, Ernesto Perez Carrillo, the Pledge, that September or so was reviewed, and it didn't score as high as it did for the top 25 list.
Yeah, there was.
So you and that happens. I mean, like we talk about that a lot here. It's like you can smoke, like you smoke this cigar and you might have one that tunnels. Well, that's not going to score very well. But then you smoke it again a second time, which I recommend to a lot of you guys. You do smoke a cigar at least twice.
Yes.
Unless you absolutely hate the flavor of it. But that's something that it's a handmade product. This is something that you guys can truly smoke once and be like, oh, it's terrible. And you smoke it again. And you're like, wow, this one's smoking much better. It's maybe it needed to sit a little bit longer, whatever it might be.
I brought that up Monday when I was smoking a cigar. There's a cigar I have that a rep gave me a few of, and I have them in my humidor for us to potentially do on a future episode. And Monday, I actually saw that cigar at a shop, and I was like, it was the last one in the box. I was like, you know what? I want to try that, see if it is any good before we actually do it on a podcast. And I've smoked other cigars from that manufacturer without any issue. That particular cigar had a very bad tunnel in it. And so when I actually posted a video of it on social media, I took the band off of it because I know that cigar is not an accurate representation of that brand. And I don't want to judge that particular blend off of that one cigar.
Right. Absolutely.
You and I kind of did that last year when we smoked, I think it was last year, the CAO Brasilia. Both of ours were plugged.
Yeah.
Sean smoked fine. And
Right.
you and I, Steve, have smoked that cigar at least 100 times. And
Yeah.
So when we gave our ratings, like we didn't necessarily give our rating solely on that specific cigar we smoked right then and there. We kind of looked at it as the broad picture of the body of work of that cigar.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. This time, it's a good point. So this is where we get to the end of part 1 here. And as a reminder, for those listening to the audio, obviously, you know that you're going to have to click over to the other part 2. We're going to be talking about boundaries tonight. I'm interested to see where this goes. And I hope everyone out there, Ray and Sean, and I know Freddie was out there. A handful of other people are out there listening and commenting. But this is where I want to see if we can get some more participation from you guys, because this is a topic that was brought up by Eric a couple weeks ago or last week. And then a friend of the show, Michaela, brought it up yesterday. So it's not knowing that it was brought up before that. So, I mean, we've got this where we're going to be getting into that. But point being, this is where we've started a new format on the video live stream. We'll end part 1, and then hopefully within a few minutes, depending on who the guest is. But every week, it's sometimes like last week, it took longer. A couple weeks ago, we had Adrian. He was on, and in the intermission, we went live on Instagram, and we had cocktails being made, smoked old fashioned. It was fantastic. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff, and please share it. But this is where we're going to get into the rating time. Nate and I are going to rate it. Sean, if you want to rate the cigar, I mean, we'll get you involved as well. In fact, we'll start with you because you're not drinking the whiskey. So he's going to give 1 rating on the cigar. Nate and I will be doing the out of 10, 10 being the best, right? Mm-hmm. The whiskey, the cigar, and then the pairing. So we'll have three ratings. You'll have just the 1 on the EP Carillo Capa de Sol. So Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, so I really enjoyed it. Aside from it getting a little hot, I slowed it down a little bit and did what you told me. It's actually cooling down. I'll give it like a 8.75. That's
good.
It's good. I love the flavor. I love the.
What do you like about the flavor?
I like the retro hair because it's I like a good spice, not where it's not gonna freaking make me sneeze, but one that's gonna like, wow, that was a good spice, but it was good. It just felt, I don't. Hard to say. It's like I guess you could say it tasted well, and it wasn't too much, and actually kind of relaxed me too. Just
smoking it.
Yeah.
Good.
So 8.75 is a good one, and I'd definitely buy another one. How much are they at Tinder Box?
It's a good question. I want to say it's around 9 to 10. It's an average price cigar.
$8.95.
That'd be 9,
I think.
So yeah, I would definitely that, and would definitely recommend for all the people listening to give it a shot if you haven't already, or pick up another one. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It just has the perfect combination of kind of like at the beginning, you don't really get too much, and then as you smoke it, it becomes an adventure.
Ooh.
It like kind of starts out mellow to me, and then it picks up, and then by the time you're in it with the spice, you're used to it, and it just tastes good all the way through.
Nice. Nate, how about you? Again, out of 10, 10 being the best, we're going to do the whiskey and then the cigar and then the pairing.
So
just a review. I'm sorry. Just a reminder for those tuning in. We did the Barrell Bourbon. It's a batch 029. So it's a 29th batch. Proof is 115.88. And we went over that. If you guys want to, if you're just tuning in live, just go back towards the beginning. We give a little bit of the background of the company and obviously the bottle.
So on the whiskey, I'm going to be at 8. I think some of their other barrel crafts we like a little bit more, like the Dovetail, the Rye, the
don't loop me into that.
The New Year's that we had back in January. But I mean, it's a solid bottle. $90 I think is a stretch for a lot of people for what you're getting. But again, there's a lot of complexity to the whiskey. There's anywhere from 6 to 16 years blend in this. So it's definitely different. If it's one of those, I would probably recommend if it's at a bar, try a glass.
Sure.
Maybe not necessarily, unless you absolutely love it, go out and buy a bottle. I think it's going to be a little hard for most people to just go out and drop $90 on this bottle just because of what else is out there. It's not that $90 is a bad price point for this bottle. It's just for $90. I think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards something else.
Okay.
Or a combination of other bottles.
So 8 on the whiskey. 8 on the whiskey. All right.
8 on the whiskey. 7 on the cigar. It's a good cigar. It's not a bad cigar. It doesn't blow me away. It's not really a complex smoke. It's just uniform for me, kind of straight all the way through.
Yeah.
It's got a good flavor, but I think the flavor is not all that rich for me. But it's an enjoyable smoke.
Pairing.
I'm going to give the pairing a 7 as well, just because going from the whiskey to the cigar just kind of brought more spice onto my tongue, and just it kind of brought back that initial sip of the whiskey where there was just a lot of heat. I didn't taste a whole lot with the pairing. It was just, hey, the whiskey was good, cigar was good, but going to the cigar after the whiskey, it just kind of fired my tongue up a little bit, and I don't really care for that.
Okay.
But I do think going barrel craft to the other whiskey, the bottled and bond whiskey, and then going back to the barrel craft, coming back to the barrel craft the second time, I was able to taste more flavor because my palate was acclimated to a higher proof. So it was definitely more enjoyable the second time around.
I got you. And so I have not done that. I've not switched off. I took my time on my 2 pours of this. And again, I want to thank Aaron, who represents Barrel Craft, and I want to thank everyone at Barrel Bourbon and Barrel Craft for including us in this sample. This just, they're very, very generous there, and I really appreciate that. With the whiskey, I am going to give the whiskey a 9. I really like this bottle. I think this is something that on my second glass, as we've been at this now, and I've been sipping on it for going on 45 minutes or so, and taking my time on it. We've talked about the fruit, if you will, and then that spice. I really like it. It's almost like a very warm. Sinbig, really? Wow. This is a nice, warm, they say pear, and Ray Cheshire, who's listening, I was looking for apple. It is kind of like that, but it's like this apple cider warmed up and has a little spice to it, a little cinnamon stick in there. It kind of gives me that note.
Like a hot toddy?
A little bit. So I'll give that a 9. I really like it. I'm just super impressed. $90 is a lot for a lot of people. You're right. I'll give you that. This is something, though, for barrel proof. What else is out there for the uniqueness of this? And when you find out the age of some of the barrels in there too, I mean, you can't keep it inexpensive when you're ranging from
16 years
all the way up to 16 years. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I think the first one we had from them, I think it was like 11, 13, 14, and 15.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of older stuff. This one's got some younger stuff, but it's the younger stuff. If I remember from what you read correctly, some of that younger stuff had higher rye content.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't necessarily have to age that quite as long.
Correct. Yeah. So 9 on the whiskey. The cigar, I'll give it an 8. The cigar, I'll agree a bit with Nate that it's a good cigar. This is not something that blows me away. I like the spice. I enjoy the experience smoking it. It did get a little hot, so maybe there is a little bit of a construction, not issue, but a construction factor that I don't really care for, because it did start heating up, and I had to, again, set it down like Sean did as well. I don't know if anyone out there has smoked this cigar. This is the Robusto size, so that could be a factor in it as well. But the fact that it heated up every time I keep going back to it, though, and take a couple puffs, it is starting to heat up again. So that brings it down a little bit. But I do like the spice that I talked about. I think it does smoke very well, other than the heat coming off of even in my hand. But again, it's a nice flavor, and again, construction other than that is solid.
Well, and earlier when I said mine was starting to run,
it evened out.
Yeah, it's evened out.
So, and I will say with the pairing, I'll stick with an 8 on that. I mean, I like the whiskey more than I like the cigar. I like the pairing, and again, going back and forth, I'm getting a little bit of that. Like I said, when I was smoking just the cigar, trying to pace the bottle, since we only had a limited amount, it's something that, going back, taking a sip of the whiskey, it still has a lot to it, and that spice or heat that was coming off the cigar, it mellowed out the whiskey a little bit. I got a little bit more flavorful notes out of it. But then after sipping the whiskey and going back to the cigar kind of reset as well, like I mentioned earlier. So that's what I like about that. 8, just because it wouldn't be my first choice when I'm, I like the cigar, but I don't love it. So if I was going to splurge myself and get a $90 bottle of a barrel strength or cast strength, as they call it, I would probably pick or try different cigars with that bottle, and this would not probably be one that I would go back to pair up again.
Do you think a lower proof whiskey would do better with this cigar?
Probably. I'd want something that has some spice to it. I mean, even like a lower proof rye would be good with it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how the Bottle and Bond did with it. It went well. Well, there you go. So yeah. All right. So guys, I want to thank you guys. If you guys are still listening live currently, again, we will end the broadcast and we'll start up another one, and I'll share it to the community page. If you're on Facebook and you have not joined the Bourbon and BS community page, please do so. It's a great group, 1,500 members, and it's just great conversation between members. And I know there's been a lot of friendships, whether it's local or from far away, that we have had some connections on there, just like any other group would do. But I really do appreciate you guys and your involvement on that. Thank you to the patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast members. Really appreciate the support, and hope you guys continue to do so. It definitely helps us keep this thing going, and it makes the time. Not only do we enjoy this and enjoy interacting with you guys and building that community, but we do love having that support, even if it's a small amount financially, just to help us out do this and make it worth our time every week, getting it all put together. And also like, share, review. That's the biggest thing. Share. Get more people involved. If you guys are enjoying it, tell someone about it. Don't just keep it to yourself. It definitely helps us out there. And then Tinder Box at Easton for the EP Carillo Capa de Sol. And also Altadis USA will be lighting up the Reserva Real next from Romeo Julieta. So thank you for the support there. As well as BS Cigar Company for the silvers and golds. The silvers are in stock. The golds will be available very soon. So stay tuned for that. But with Tinder Box at Easton, great selection. Columbus, Ohio. Check them out. We appreciate their support. They do have some more of the EP Carillo products, as well as countless others. So check them out, whether you're local or give us a shout. Give them a shout, on either social media or eastontinderbox@gmail.com, or call the store. They'll be happy to ship something out to you. So, guys, thank you very much. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. And like I said, click over to part 2 if you're listening to audio. Stay tuned. We will be starting up another broadcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live momentarily. Guys, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.